Okay. Welcome, everyone. It's 9 o'clock on this beautiful March 14th, 2024. And we're going to get started with our community solar expansion training for the Maryland and Rhode Island markets. My name is Ed Kenny. I live down in Baltimore, Maryland, and I am a energy advisor with Think Energy. And I have along with me today Phil, who's with corporate, and his last name, if I can say it correctly, is Santinocetto.
There you go, bud. Nice work.
Santinocetto, aka Captain America. And Phil is he's at corporate. He's at corporate, and he's the one that's in charge of putting all of our systems together. It is what we've created, I think, is a extremely dynamic bridging the gap for a lot of different systems. And there's a person in the middle of all that bridging the gaps, and that is Phil. So Phil is awesome. He's such an amazing asset to have. And we're excited to have him on to share the training with us tonight and all the details that go along with the enrollment process and how community solar in Maryland and Rhode Island are going to work. So Phil, do you have any exciting announcements on when the market's going to go live?
So we're looking to have it go live tomorrow. The only caveat to that is we're just waiting for Arcadia to do a couple of small little details for us to be able to turn our card on. Because what you guys are going to see, one of the biggest differences between Illinois and Virginia and Maryland and Rhode Island is Maryland and Rhode Island, we're going to be using our card experience, which is a lot simpler, a lot easier to use. And something we're very, very proud and excited about. So when we get into these details, a lot of these technical issues that they just have to kind of jump through some hoops and make sure everything's good on their end. But we're ready to roll. As soon as they give us the okay, we're flipping it on. And the goal is for tomorrow for all this to go live.
That is fantastic news. So
you guys we'll send out a company-wide email to absolutely everybody in the network when we turn the cards on.
All right. Awesome. That sounds great. So let's jump into it. I'll flip through the slides. If you want to give your expertise, that would be great. And then we'll get this done probably in the next 18 minutes, is my guess. Let's give it a shot.
Start the clock.
Well, I'll start off by saying who Think Energy is, because I say this every day and I love saying it. Think Energy is a forward-thinking retail energy company making clean energy easy, affordable, and accessible for everyone. We are a leading player in the industry. Think Energy leverages innovative technology, thanks to Phil, and the proprietary Salesforce Think Plus, which is, we are the Think Plus network, and Think Energy is the company, okay? To revolutionize how people think about energy consumption. Think Energy Community Solar is fast growing, community solar customer acquisition and management service provider. So there's a lot of management companies out, or a lot of developers out there, and they all need customer gathering. A lot of them need management. So we are providing that hub service, hub and spoke, right? We're the hub and a lot of spokes going out to different developers. It's a beautiful thing what we created here, a real need for what they need, a real solution for what they need. Think Community Solar is preferred partner to subscribe and manage projects for IPPs like Arcadia across the United States.
And so Maryland, Rhode Island are the ones who are we're fulfilling their projects right now. That's the key critical component that we're looking at right now. It actually, I'll tell you what, I'm going to take over the screen share because it's looking like they sent you an outdated version.
Okay, let me pause mine. I'll give you co-host ability.
There we go.
Okay, you should have it now.
All right, perfect.
I'll stop share, sorry. Whoops.
1 second, guys. All right. Unlike the old deck, what I wanted to start with first was the new market promotion, right? It's great that we're launching in new markets, but every time we launch a new market, we want to make sure that we're getting everybody excited about the opportunity for community solar. And so in this case, we're moving forward in Maryland and Rhode Island. And so 30 days from when we turn on the cart and we begin enrollments, basically you have the opportunity to get customer bonuses, cash bonuses for every new community solar in that market. So if you enroll 25 customers up to 14 customers, you're going to get, or 1 to 14 customers, you're going to get $25. And then once you go 15 to 29, we're going to give you $50 per customer. But then we're also going to bump up what you got from 1 to 14 and move that up to 15. And then once you break 30 enrollments in each one of those markets individually, we're going to give you $100 per customer. So if you did 30 customers during that 30-day period of time, you're talking $3,000 extra in cash. And the cool part, though, is you could forego that cash exchange and exchange it for a spot on the fall 2024 incentive trip, which is super exciting. We're going to be in Puerto Rico. I'm going to be there. All of corporates will be there. It's a great opportunity for everybody to kind of come together.
So Phil, on top of the 3,000 potentially for 30 customers, these two markets are also going to get commissions like regular.
Yep.
So for example, in Maryland, if you got 30 customers, that's 3 times 8 is what? 24? $2,400 plus 3,000. You're talking $5,400 for getting 30 customers. That's incredible. What a great gift to start off the market with.
It's like we're really excited about what we've done with Think Community Solar, and kind of like you talked about, this hub and spoke model where we're trying to make community solar mainstream. And we have the sales force, we have the people, we have the technology, we have Proton. Pulling all those things together, there's no reason why we can't be number one in the marketplace in the United States.
100%.
All right, so let's keep going. I'm not going to steal the show. After you.
So this is Maryland, right? This is my market, so I know it very well. I was actually on Governor Hogan's board to put together the pilot program in 2016 in Maryland, and it officially became law, HR 908 in June of 2023. We are full-blown community solar here in Maryland, permanent program. We're in all the major utilities in Maryland. Okay, we're in Baltimore, BG&E, Potomac Edison, which is like the western part of Maryland, Delmarva, which is the eastern part of Maryland, and Pepco, which is kind of touches on DC down in mid-south. So in all of these markets, we have open enrollment. So everyone can sign up. Every residential customer, whether you're a renter or a homeowner, everybody can enroll to be a community solar customer in every single one of these markets. And they're going to get anywhere from 5 to 10%. If you're in Delmarva in the Eastern Shore area, you're going to get 10% for everybody, right? Every other utility is 5%. Okay. In 3 of the 4 utilities, you see a thing in the middle under type. It says LMI. LMI stands for low to moderate income. These farms have a certain designated percentage that are accommodating low to moderate income customers. And those customers that enroll and show that they have the qualifications are going to get 25% as a credit on their bill for 20 years every month. They just have to qualify one time. And in Delmarva, they get 20%. So every market except for Delmarva gets 25%. That's an incredible offering right there. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of LMI potential, but just everyone you talk to who's not on a farm in the state of Maryland, there's no reason that they shouldn't be on the farm. They're just paying more than they should or could. So everybody should be on a farm. The only reason why customers aren't on a farm yet is because we haven't talked to them about it. We haven't educated them about it. So we've got a huge opportunity. So in this slide, you can see, you got what the utility is. Open means it's open to everybody. LMI means that it's got LMI. Billing type, it's dual billing. Okay. Now, utility consolidated billing is expected and has been approved by the Public Service Commission in Maryland to occur in 2025. That's where the technology is able to make it so it just shows the credit directly on the utility bill It's just one bill like you've always had. But from here till there, we are in a dual bill situation, which means that the customer is going to get two bills. But they can also opt in for Unibill, and Phil will kind of explain that as we go through this program. So
Yeah.
that's all right, Phil?
Yep,
Did I leave
sounds
anything
right.
out?
One thing to bear in mind, so we partnered, as we were talking about before, Arcadia is one of our partners, and we're using their community solar farms, and they're fulfilling for us. The way to think about it is Arcadia has their own consolidated billing methodology, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get into billing. But it basically is a path for them to just have one bill and have one party to pay.
Awesome. One thing I'll note on this page, one thing that's important to look at, you see where it's all this green here, going up and down. What that means is that we have a tremendous amount of inventory down here in Maryland. There's no shortage of supply. We can go out there, and talk to everybody about it and get everybody on the farms. We, there's either green, yellow, or red, which is not much. Moderate is yellow. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. Maryland's wide open. Go get them, Slugger.
We got a lot of capacity in Maryland, and with discounts for LMI up to 25%, like it is a very, very easy sales opportunity.
Yep. And now we've got Rhode Island. Okay. So Rhode Island is one utility. It's just Rhode Island Energy. Used to be National Grid Rhode Island. Now it's Rhode Island Energy. It's open to everybody. Okay. They don't have LMI in Rhode Island. That's not part of the program. But they have dual billing, and everyone gets a standard 10%. So everyone who owns a home pays a bill, renters included. Everyone can get on the farm, 10% discount. They'll get that 10% credit on their dual market. And in Rhode Island, because you got to think about community solar, wherever the solar farm is built, anyone inside the utility footprint can enroll to be on that farm. Rhode Island is a tiny little state, so there's not a lot of open land in Rhode Island. So projects are going to be there. They're always going to be popping up, but we just have to inform everybody that there's a moderate amount of supply. I don't know, what do you quantify, Phil, as moderate?
Yeah, so we're probably talking hundreds of spots right now. We're working on trying to increase the capacity in Rhode Island, but there's plenty of opportunity. If we put the pressure on getting more, we'll be able to get more IPPs lined up. So I mean, if we're in the yellow spot, I would still get after it, and then what we can do is we can work on bringing more capacity in.
That's awesome.
That's part of the reason why we're working with Arcadia on these two particular states, because they have the capacity.
That's great. That's great. So now Phil's going to walk you through the enrollment process.
Yep.
He built this system.
Yep. So we kind of talk about some pre-enrollment tips, right? Like at the end of the day, you need to be comfortable talking about the shared benefits of community solar, right? It's good for customers' bank accounts. It's good for the environment. We're also talking local power, right? It's good for the local economy because they're producing it locally. And because of all those benefits, it's quite a nice opportunity for you guys to sell. So it's really great for your business as well. The one thing to keep in mind is that moving forward, just to make allocation and a lot of fulfillment easier and to help get these customers on these solar farms as quickly as possible, we're requiring everybody to upload a copy of their electricity bill. So that way, if there's any additional need for information from these IPPs, we've got a bill in hand. We don't have to reach back out to the customer. We get them allocated as quickly as possible, because that's one of the things we really want to focus on is one, making sure that we have plenty of capacity, and two, making sure we have everything that we need to make sure that customers are getting on these community solar farms as quickly as possible. And so they just need to have a copy of their bill, make sure they have a good working phone number and email address. And and then we get moving.
Well, I'll give a little tip real quick, if I can. One of the things that I do is I call my prospects and I say to them, hey, there's a new community solar program that the state of Maryland introduced, and I want to see if you're qualified to be on the farm. if you could send me a copy of your bill, just take a picture of it or download it and send it to me. I can check real quick to see if you're qualified. I already know that they're going to be qualified, but when I get that bill, I can look at that bill and it's a treasure trove of information. I know how much they're paying for supply, and I know that I can call them back in 5 minutes and say, congratulations, you are qualified to be on the farm. So that's just a little tip that I do.
Oh yeah, and then they have that bill handy, right? So when it comes to going through the enrollment flow, and we try to make it as simple as possible, they got it right there to upload.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so when customers go through your get links, they hit the home page and they're entering their zip code on that front page, right? Once they enter that zip code, they're going to see a whole host of plans, right? There's some retail energy, there's some community solar. And so they'll also be able to see whether or not there's some potential for LMI discount on there. So once they click on the product, now they're just starting to enter all of their, personal information, name, email address, all of those things. The thing to kind of pay attention here is they need to be able to enter their account number, and we kind of put an estimate for like what their monthly usage would be. And that's important because you have to be able to align the right customers on the right community solar farm. And that's what we're calling allocation, right? You want to make sure that there's enough capacity on that community solar farm to service all the electricity needs that we're going to be allocating to those customers. And so using that kind of average monthly electricity bill figure, we can kind of figure out what that is. And then when they upload a copy of their bill as well, if we have any additional questions, we can go to that bill and we can service that customer to make sure that we just get them on, get them out of pending status as quickly as possible. That's really the goal there. And then when we look at LMI, so as you're going through and you're trying to determine whether or not you're an LMI eligible customer, we kind of have this handy little sheet here where it talks about LMI program verification. So every state, and you guys saw in the beginning, all the different materials that we can use to verify their LMI status. And so just kind of remind them right there. If they are, they can upload documentation, upload proof. And then our operations team will be able to sort through their bills, the LMI documentation to make sure we get them qualified for that extra discount. It's a little bit more work to get into one of these LMI programs, but as you see, the savings discount is astronomical. The difference between 10% and 25% or 5% and 25% is huge. And so just getting all those documents together and getting them out there really will make a difference for those customers. And it's free money for them. It's absolutely free money.
Bill, another tip on this LMI. One thing I do is I take a screenshot of the LMI program verification qualification, just like you see there. I take a screenshot and I send it to people that are my friends, family, whatever, saying, hey, do you qualify for any of these things? Or more importantly, do you know anybody that qualifies for any of these things? Because if you do, we need to talk ASAP. And that's a way to it's kind of a weird subject to call your friend and say, hey, do you qualify for low to moderate income? So you kind of position it like, do you know anybody else that qualifies for these? Because if you do, we've got to talk ASAP. And if they say, no, I don't know anybody, or I don't qualify, say, that's okay. You got a sec. And then you can reach out to them. But it's an easy way to just contact someone out of the blue to start a dialogue,
Yeah, that's a great point. And if you look here in Maryland, right? Maryland, here are all the LMI qualifications. If you guys want to take a screen grab or something like that, we'll also be posting this online and the entire presentation online as well. So you guys will have easy access to it. But these are the LMI qualifications for Maryland. And as we know, Rhode Island doesn't have any LMI program, but LMI is a great value proposition. And the more that we can kind of give that to a large group of people, not only are you going to get great benefits in terms of the extra cash bonuses at the start of this month, but if you look at those discounts in Maryland, I mean, 25%, it's huge. The program effectively sells itself. And the tips that Ed's given are great ideas, right? Where you can kind of go and find those customers and just kind of soft transition your way into it. All right. After they go through that material, then they're just going to be provided a summary view of what their enrollment looks like. It's a last chance to kind of review it, and they go ahead and hit finalize, and then that's where they enter their payment credentials. Because again, this is a dual billing environment, so they're going to pay for the community solar credits, and then those community solar credits are going to offset their electricity usage from the utility. And then lastly, customers are allocated the community solar farm in their area. They're going to get this email, let them know we're going to work real quick. We're going to notify you once your community solar credits along with the discount amount are applied to your statement, and they start moving forward. In the case of Arcadia might send out a message as well, but it's a very similar experience. Now, the one thing to pay attention to is this kind of post-enrollment process. So after we kind of review the account details and we get everything validated and we figure out where they're going to be placed, in the case of Maryland, there's kind of two project types, right? There's an IPP by the name of Sincarfa, and then there's also Arcadia. All the new capacity that we're adding online for community solar, all of that is Arcadia. And the one really nice thing about Arcadia is Arcadia has consolidated billing. So you'll see that in our enrollment flow, we try to keep it as simple as possible. But once we move that customer over to Arcadia's community solar farms, Arcadia is going to send them an email. And they have this concept called Arcadia Consolidated Billing. And so once their account gets set up with Arcadia, they can log in with their utility information, and then they can actually allow Arcadia to pay that customer's bill on their behalf. So all they have to do is pay Arcadia once, and Arcadia is going to make sure that their utility bill gets taken care of, as well as those community solar credits. And so I'm showing you guys kind of a sample of what that looks like in Maryland, because this kind of makes it a little bit more real, right? So we see here that Arcadia they basically have paid Arcadia $154.68, right? And Arcadia, but the total utility bill was $162.23. So in this case, this was just an open 5% discount, but you see the 5% savings that they got from off of the utility price by having that community solar. And then you see how everything was applied over here. So it's this kind of benefit of having Arcadia and the Arcadia consolidated billing allows you to kind of see materially where the savings kind of comes from the customers. Now, if they don't want to go down the Arcadia consolidated billing, that's totally fine too. They'll receive a bill for their community solar credits, and then they'll pay those community solar credits. They'll get their Pepco bill or whatever their utility is in Maryland, and then they'll pay that bill as well separately, because it's not always one-to-one, right? Because community solar is constantly producing. Their bill it varies from time to time. And so there's a little bit of difference between the two from time to time. But Arcadia consolidated billing is a great way to kind of make that a much nicer experience for a lot of customers. It's as close as you can get to a utility consolidated billing experience until you have an official utility consolidated billing experience. So dual billing, again, is basically they're going to receive a bill for each. And then they'll have the utility bill, you'll have your community solar bill, and they kind of match those things up together. And then how they calculate credits kind of varies from state to state. But in Maryland, it's the discounts across the entire board. And so it's based off their total charges. And so that's a really nice experience for them as well. Anything to add?
You know, I've been on dual billing for the last 3.5 years in Maryland. And it's just clockwork. I have it on auto pay. I don't have to think about it, but it's just the easiest thing in the world. There's just no downside to it. That's the beauty of it. We're in the hero business, not the villain business. So community solar always keeps us in good graces with customers because we're saving everyone that we talk to money. And I'm a testament to dual billing. It's easy. Will I be excited when it goes consolidated? To be honest with you, I won't even know because it just happens automatically. Every once in a while I go in there and just check and I see that the credits are aligning and everything. But it's simple. And another thing to note, especially for the Maryland folks, is that consolidated billing is right around the corner, right? It really is. It's less than, it's probably a year away from happening. So, by the time someone gets on a farm and they pay their dual billing experience or their unibill with Arcadia, it's going to be maybe 6 to 8 months, and then they'll be on consolidated anyway. So it's pretty simple.
And the real benefit to getting up and running now is, New York can kind of attest to this. When you start launching a lot of these community solar farms, their discounts are much larger in the beginning. And as time goes by and programs become more popular, they feel less need to discount the electricity that they're getting over time. And so that's part of the real benefit of getting moving like quickly. And now is you can get on before utility consolidated billing happens and be able to realize that discount for many more years. And there might not be availability for those larger discount programs. And, when utility consolidated billing happens.
Exactly. So it's pretty straightforward, and I'm excited because, you got, I know Massachusetts rolled out about 2 weeks ago with National Grid. So
Correct.
for the folks up in that area, you've been enrolling customers on Nat Grid in Massachusetts. Now, people from Massachusetts, people from Connecticut know people in Rhode Island. Rhode Island is awesome because it's such a small consolidated state. It's easy to get people together and get people educated. They all know each other in Rhode Island. So this thing, we'll probably fill that farm in no time.
We will. And a little teaser for you guys. We've got more capacity coming up in Massachusetts, and we haven't started our incentive program in Massachusetts yet. But once we start adding more capacity through Arcadia in Massachusetts, we're going to run our kind of sprint program, and it's going to apply to everybody that's been enrolled since we launched Massachusetts. So any customers that you start gathering right now in Massachusetts are going to apply to that promotion when we launch it in Mass.
That's huge because I know some people personally that have 15, 20 customers already with Nat Grid in the last 2 weeks.
So once we start launching the rest of Massachusetts, we're just going to apply to everybody. And I'm pretty excited. I think a lot of people are going to be pretty excited about it.
That's great. No, I'm excited.